and thank you for listening to Serves You Right. My name is Andrew, and today I am talking to Franck Desplechin. Chef Franck, as he is known, is the man behind Incrementum, and his new book, Relentless Growth, comes out today. Super cool guy. He started working in kitchens when he was 15, just the same age as when I started working in restaurants. How about that? Tons of great stories, tons of inspiring worldviews. I really loved speaking with Chef Franck. It was really fantastic. Without any further ado, here's Chef Franck. This is Serves You Right. My name's Andrew.
Awesome. Well, Franck, I promise to not try and pronounce your last name again and butcher it, but thank you for coming on again
Even
tonight.
my friends butcher my last name, so they usually go with Chef Franck. That's usually the way, and that's why
Chef Franck,
my website and my brand is Chef Franck. Is It's easier to remember than Desplechin. So yeah, you go either way.
for
I'm fine
sure.
with it.
Awesome. Well, the man behind Incrementum and then the new book that's coming out, Relentless Growth.
Yes.
Thank you for taking a moment out and coming to say hi to
Yes.
us.
Thanks for having me, Andrew. I'm very much looking forward to have a great conversation with you.
Of course. So I wanted to start off by a connection that me and you share. Like you, I started in restaurants at 15 and I was drawn to the front of house. You were back of house. I didn't have a illustrious start, kind of like I think you might share with us. But yeah, what drew you to restaurants eventually? Like what brought you in?
I have to say, I like to believe that there is, when you move towards a big change in your life or in your career, I like to think that there is something that attracts you and something that push you out. It's kind of the elements, and you're right at crossroads and you're trying to figure out what's the next move. And not only I was curious about the kitchen because I grew up in France and both my parents knew how to cook. So I've always been very curious about the way they were doing things, and the art that was coming with it and the craft. But I think the other part is I never really felt like I belonged in the educational system in school. And in France, lucky enough, there is an apprenticeship that is possible at 15 years old. I actually started a few months before my 15th birthday, so almost like 14 and a half that I've
Oh
started.
gosh.
My parents had to sign a waiver in order for me to get access to apprenticeship because I'm born at the end of the year. But yeah, so that's kind of what draw me towards this. And very quickly, I found my spot, my comfort. I just suddenly I was not good at school, and suddenly I'm on the top of the class. So of course, all those things makes you feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And then you just kind of
Hmm.
continue your way out and just go through the process of gaining knowledge, getting skills, and then you just take one day at a time.
Yeah. No, I definitely see that. I never felt comfortable anywhere until the second I stepped into a restaurant. And then I never even realized I didn't feel as comfortable in restaurants until I was 21 and, when I ended up behind the bar. It's like you find your area and then it's like, this is home. Like this is a place. And unfortunately, restaurants can be a house for like renegades and all sorts of misfits.
Misfits. Yeah,
But yeah, but yeah, when you love it, you love it.
yeah, I agree very much.
So, do you mind for the reader at home who hasn't had a chance to go through your book? Can you take us briefly kind of through your history? I was very impressed with the breadth and depth of different experiences. And I mean, you've done everything from Michelin stars to Hawaiian Islands and everything in between. So, just a brief outline of your
Yeah, of
history.
course. I mean, 26 years now. I'm going to turn 26 years in hospitality and started in the kitchens, apprenticeship, and I would say on and off, but mostly on. The first 12 years of my career were mostly and exclusively Michelin star rated restaurant in France. It's kind of my foundation, the way my work ethics comes from, my structure, everything you learn in the Michelin star world, I have applied ever since. They're just kind of I would say my professional identity in some ways. And you always fall back on what you've learned in your earlier career in order to continue to move forward. And so I did that for the first 12 years. At the time, I don't think the world was necessarily as accessible. France was really on the top of the iceberg when it comes to the best cuisine in the world. Now it has evolved over the last 20 years when Peru and Spain and America. There's so many countries now that have so many amazing chefs. But at the time in the early 2000s, maybe it was just the lack of exposure or the lack of accessibility to information. I think people, and maybe I'm being biased, but I think people were viewing France as kind of the top of the top at the time. And so that was that. And then I got the virus of traveling. I started to realize that I could go into places to work where people needed to save money in order to spend a week on vacation, and I could just work there. And I just
Mm.
like, oh my goodness, and say I'm going to go to this place. So I ended up like going in places such as Bora Bora in French Polynesia. I lived in Australia for a little bit shy of 2 years. I've traveled everywhere in the world, and then when you have your days off, you feel like you're on vacation. And so those amazing places kind of gave me an access to travel, gave me an access to the world, and gave me an access to different culture. And kind of I would say the island culture opened my eyes in so many ways, from an access to just the way they treat human being, the way the society is, the welcoming aspect of their culture when you are foreigner, and just embraced all of this and embracing the way they live life daily. In Bora Bora, you just take your weekend and you go fishing, and you come back and you just spend the entire day go fishing on a boat in the middle of the Caribbean or middle of the French Polynesia. Those are the experiences that you get to live once in your life. And like I said, I was there to work. So you get access to that at the same time. And then I've always tried to stay within the luxury segment. There was always a part of me that needed to feel like I was thriving, not only as an individual in my work for my own growth, but also I wanted to feel like I was being part of an environment or a workplace that was thriving to become one of their best. So that's how I entered the St. Regis brand back under Starwood Hotels and Resort. St. Regis at the time was probably some of the best brand that there was in the world alongside Four Seasons. And so I've never really lost the Michelin star rated mentality going into luxury resort. And so I've made a whole career out of it. And you realize very quickly, 15 years, 20 years, that the world of luxury is a very small world. Everyone know each other. And then you just kind of going opportunity by opportunity until I eventually got out of the kitchen and the bake shop, because I was pastry chef as well. I got out of both and became a director of food and beverage when I
Yeah, I went bartender to manager, so I
there you
understand.
go.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
ventured into the front of the house as director F&B, and I had to grow another way and had to redefine my identity, because I started to run the front of the house like a chef and realized very quickly that I was hitting a wall in every corner, because the response from the front of the house team was not what I was accustomed to from a kitchen. And so I had to redefine myself and find what attributes I could bring on the table from a chef, but what else could I actually change in order to be a little bit more accepted and able to lead a team of the front of the house. So all of this kind of led me into joining Auberge Resort Collection, one of the big name brand right now in the world of hospitality. And at the same time, during the pandemic, I've created my company Incrementum and kind of dusted off 2023. And now I'm a full-time entrepreneur since the January 2023. So years.
If you've been enjoying this so far, please take a moment, hit that like button, subscribe, share with a friend. It'd mean the world to me. All right, that's enough. Back to the talk.
Living the proof of relentless growth. So
Pretty much.
embodying
Mhm.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to harken back to what you said there about that difficulty of someone from the back house experience going to the front of
Yeah.
house. With a personal story, I've got one of my old managers, one of the best kitchen guys I've ever worked with. We were cross training him as front of house. And I'll always remember, I don't remember exactly the infraction. It was something along the lines of the host, she's like a 17-year-old girl, didn't put in her request off in time. Like something so minor that it wouldn't even bat an eye at it. It's a brief conversation for me with her. And he didn't yell, anything like that. But he approached her with the sternness and severity that he would approach a 35-year-old seasoned line cook. And again, no yelling, no curse words. She did end up tearing up. I still remember talking to him like, this is part of the struggle of moving back house to front of house. You have to have these conversations. And he said she was in the wrong. I was like, yes, but there has to be a way to tell her that without bringing her to tears.
Of course.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's part of the struggle is that front of house crew is different, and I've done cross training in the back, and it toughens you up, and you have to lead with a gentler hand with the front of
Yeah,
house. They're emotional
it's crazy.
people.
One of the most notable change that I face is, when you have established your career as a chef, you get into a kitchen. You don't need to you don't need to come across like you've done it. You, the exec chef, there is an immediate respect for the title and an immediate respect of you in charge of the kitchen. And so, you're going into a heavy weekend with a lot of weddings and a lot of guests on high season, and then you go to your cooks when you're a bit short staff and you just say, hey, I'm gonna need you to work Saturday. And then yes chef. And it's
We
yeah,
chef,
just like
yeah.
chef, yes chef, I'm going Saturday. And then you don't really get that level of resistance. They usually say, yeah, problem, no chef, no problem, yes, yes, yes. You go there, and when you get to the front of the house, and you go into a similar story. You go to your front of the house server and you say, hey, I'm going to need you to work on Saturday. Yes, but yes, I can do it, but can I have Tuesday instead? I say, no, I still need you on Tuesday. Well, what about Wednesday? I still need you on Wednesday. I just need you to work. And then you just kind of, at the time, at the earlier stage of my director F&B role, was no, I need you to work 6 days. That's pretty much what I'm asking. And then because I was a chef and I was never really confronted to that level of resistance, I was shutting it down. I was just say, no, you're working 6 days, end of story, thank you. And then you realize that you are not necessarily creating an environment when now you becoming unapproachable. Now you're becoming people are just afraid of you. And when in the kitchen, you never really felt that way because the cook's going to say, yes, chef, and then you move on, and then everything goes according to plan. And so I had to tone down. I had to take time to listen. I had to be a little bit more suggestive. In a kitchen, you command your kitchen, you order your kitchen. That's just the way you come up to be. Front of the house, I had to learn to be a little bit more, amiable. I had to be a little bit more approachable. I had to be having sit downs and really listening to what people had to say. So I had to learn all those skills that I did not necessarily. I had them, but I did not necessarily had them as much depth that I needed to have them in the front of the house. I would say probably there was probably a little bit more sensitivity to approach the front of the house staff than there was in the back of the house.
Hmm. Yeah, and I've noticed working in both. The front of house has really tightened up my muscles in figuring out what people are going to or probably going to think about the things I ask. It just that empathy muscle has to be stretched and built up a little bit more.
Absolutely.
You really need it. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 definitely.
One thing I did want to touch on, and something I was very happy about when I was researching you, I was listening to some of the podcasts you've done because I wanted to see how you spoke and what level of fluency you had with English.
Mhm.
And I bring that up because you jumped at a job where you didn't speak English at all yet, and essentially you were learning on the job as you're doing a new job in a new city. So I wanted to kind of dig into what that was like. I'm sure that was a crazy time, and you kind of detail it in the book.
Yes.
And also, I wanted to touch on why you think that you have that ability to jump in places when so many people see challenges, see problems, see just any difficulty and kind of hold themselves back, almost hold themselves to a lower standard.
Yeah, I mean, without teasing too much of the book, because it's kind of the opening statement of my story, and kind of the statement of what the book is all about. But yes, I've arrived 12 years ago in United States as executive pastry chef into a property, and I didn't speak a word in English. It was the detail of the story will be for the readers to find it in the book, but I would say that the experience itself was tough. Was very tough. There's a lot of details, and I would say when I arrived on that property, it was about 10 months they didn't have a leader in that bake shop. So for 10 months, suddenly, not only you have to figure it out what's your place, you actually don't know how to communicate with anyone. Everyone speak English, but I had people from different culture. I had some Filipinos in my team. I had some Hawaiian in my team. And then I go into there and then I realize that I don't know how to communicate. And then you got the entire resort that I was at has been waiting for 10 months for menu change. And then they all coming in all angles. I say, hey, Frank, we need to change the menu on this restaurant. When you think you can have that? I say, I have no idea. And then you come in, and so everyone was really impatient. So I got tackled from an overload of work, which I knew how to do, but I didn't know how to make people do. And I also entered the world of being an executive pastry chef when you have emails and you're in a resort with over 65 managers and leaders, and suddenly you have to manage your emails. I'm opening my inbox and I'm just looking. I say, my goodness, I have like 75 emails. It's my day number one. You just don't even know how to read English. You don't know how to understand, and nonetheless, you don't even know how to respond to those emails. And so there's a lot of panic. There's a lot of, what the hell am I doing here? Am I capable of doing this? So you're kind of introspecting a lot. You're self-assessing, and you just kind of trying to go one day at a time. But I have to be honest. There's so many times that I just say, I need to go. I need to leave. It's time to go home, because the days were, I've never been afraid of doing long days. I'm someone that could work around the clock, and having no problem doing this is hard work. I've done it before. I've been there. I know how to do it. But when you're doing it with no achievement at the end of the day, or you feel like you even more lost, or you even like feel like you even more in the weeds by being there for 16, 18 hours, that just starting to attack your mental. Now your
Hmm.
emotional and your mental approach to things, you just say, am I at the right spot? Am I doing the right thing? What do they think of me? Am I going to get fired? Because you're not achieving and performing. And I think the resilience and the I think leading with heart and kind of being there to support your team. There's a common language in every culture. When you show up, you provide support. You know how to read a room. If someone is struggling to be on time, you go and you help. Like I was just doing without the language. I was just helping without the language at the beginning. And slowly you're starting to see the team that's starting to embrace you and started to really explain you and talking slowly in order for you to understand English. So they started to really make sure I say, oh, I want him on the team. Therefore, we're going to help him staying on the team. And so you're starting to kind of getting into this. And on the other side of things, outside of work, I am someone that while I can navigate discomfort, discomfort is always unpleasant. It's not something you want to stay at. So I'm a huge cinema fanatic. Like I love going to see movies, and I grew up watching thousands of movies. So what I did is I took all my favorite movies, I streamed them, and I just put them on English subtitle French and on French subtitle English. And then I was just watching movies outside of work continuously and starting to pick up on words until the time I was ready to have sentences, words that became sentences, and sentences became emails, and emails became just able for me to communicate. I don't know how long it took me, but it took me a good year and a half, 2 years to be into a place where I could understand and being able to actually respond. That was taking time. So it is definitely very challenging times. And to answer your second question is how do you adopt a mindset like this when some people would want to give up? I don't know. I think it comes down to the fact that you are believing in the process, you're believing in growth, but like in an obsessive level, you believe that something better will come out of it afterwards, and that the discomfort is where growth happen. If you're going to a place and you're thriving and you're one of the best, are you really growing, or you're just showing everybody how great you are? And I think the latter is that you go into a place that you are uncomfortable and you're trying to find new skills, and then you're just learning those hard skills, and you're also learning those soft skills. You become a little bit more understanding, empathetic, sympathetic, and then you're starting to kind of move the needle that way. And you realize that very quickly you have an ease in order to navigate those uncomfortable places. And then now you actually almost like need the uncomfortable in order to feel good. Like at some point, I was probably, people were at the most messed up property was what was attracting me the most. If I see a property that was completely messed up, but I think I can change that. I think I can help with that. I say, I want to go there. I'm a fixer. I want to fix this.
You're addicted to the challenge
Yeah.
almost at that
Yeah.
point.
You're just addicted to fix places. And once it's fixed, you almost like get bored. You say, okay, I need to find a new project to fix. And then
Yeah.
you're starting to be hardwired to something like this.
Yeah. And I feel like there is a mindset that you start to develop when you face these challenges that seem almost insurmountable, and you notice that you don't break, but you actually meet them, and not only meet them but succeed. You start to say, okay, I'm the kind of person who can do these things, and it kind of feeds into itself. And It's the same mentality that drives one to get a Michelin star or
Of course, it definitely is.
go
I,
to
I
learn a
I
language.
don't think, I don't believe there is any challenge that cannot be passed. I don't think there is. If you really put your mind to it and you're really dedicating the proper amount of time and you're learning how to go and navigate through, I don't think there's any obstacles that could be. I don't see them as obstacles. Like, I want to tomorrow, if I want to go and becoming a pilot and doing plane, it just takes me to go through the process of getting a license and starting piloting. But for some people, it's like, I'm never gonna get to that. Can you imagine? No, I'm never gonna do. For me, it's more like into, I'll do it when I have time. Like, it's more, it's I don't see anything as obstacles. I really see them as, it took me time to see them as opportunities. But before, it was just there's what we would quote unquote an obstacle in front of me. I say, I'm just going to go through it, or I'm just going to go around if I can, but I'm usually going to go to get on the other side of it. And that's, it's probably, I could not be able to tell you where does that come from, because it's probably been within me for as long as I remember.
Now, one of my favorite quotes in just the general populace is Alex Hormozy, and he's talking about just general skills, setting up a website, do anything like that. He says any skill, pretty much in the modern era, can be achieved to a basic level in 20 hours of concentrated work. But most people put off that first hour for years
Mhm.
because they're afraid of it.
Yeah,
And it's like that rings true. Yeah.
it is
uh,
very much true. Yeah, I agree with that very much.
yeah. So kind of turning to your book, I told you that there were a couple of quotes, and I'm just going to kind of throw them at
Yeah, of
you
course.
just willy nilly, and let's unpack them. So, one of the first ones towards the beginning: you are not afraid of hard work. You're simply unwilling to sacrifice your well being for outdated ideas of success. I love the approach and kind of the thread I see through your work of balance. Obviously, you've worked very hard, you have ideals, but you don't, it's not like the hustle culture. You're not saying work until your eyes bleed or anything like that.
No,
So,
I don't. Even though I've been there, this definitely
mhm.
not to that point, but I've been into point of burnout. I've been into point of exhaustion. So I've felt it, I've experienced it, and I've always kind of realized that it doesn't make any sense. It is not sustainable. But I like to think that everyone has a ceiling, or at least they believe what their ceiling is. And you never realize that you can actually move your ceiling to what it can be. There's a story that exists. Have you ever heard of the circus elephant? So there's the elephant
Mhm.
in the circus that, as a small elephant, as a baby elephant, they're being attached with just one a little rope in order for them not to move, and they're learning to be conditioned to not move. And then as they're becoming an elephant adult, they obviously, you realize that that same rope still attached to them, and you realize that if they really wanted and they really understood their ceiling where it was, they would actually able to rip off this rope easy, but it's just a conditionment. And I think we all, as human beings, conditioned to know what our ceiling is and not realizing the potential of what most human beings can do. And I think you can move your ceiling as high as you want to be. You can challenge yourself to go. There's also your surroundings sometimes that think they know you better than you know yourself, and they're going to be, because their own limitation is A and B, therefore they're going to limit you to A and B when you have aspiration to be at C and D. So it's just sometimes you have to be able to silence the distraction and the noise, and sometimes just let your curiosity just leading the way, and see where it's going. It's important. It's like, for example, I see my parents. When I was born in the 80s, in mid 90s, it's Christmas, the PlayStation 1 just came out. And you just get PlayStation, and I was very big into games. But that was a world that my parents did not understand. That was a world that was completely. But now you see, if I had persevered in the world of games, and because I was very passionate about this and I was playing hours and stuff, I know that if I wanted and I had let my curiosity following that path with the same mindset I've adopted now, I know I've probably been in the gaming world, and knowing that now the gaming world can give millions to people that are developer of software.
You got so close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's all those little things that I believe sometimes you just have to let your curiosity and your vision pulling you away, and letting just let it flourish. Let's see where it goes. Let's just follow your path, and realize that there might be something on the other side that can be defining of your entire career. And so I encourage people to find what that is. And if you don't know what that is, just be curious. What is it that you like? Especially in this world of 2025, 26 almost, you can do anything, and anything can actually give you money and being able to make you a living. And you just have to find the courage to follow this passion.
No, I agree entirely. And I mean, even going back to earlier in our conversation, there's no rational reason that I should have any interest or want to do restaurants. No one in my family has ever done anything restaurant related, but it spoke to me. And so I started, and there's no rational reason. In fact, I've even chosen positions that are bartender instead of server, where I've almost definitely made less money. But something about the bar has always interested me. And then I jumped down the rabbit hole of learning about cocktails, and then I started learning wine, and then I started going through the quartermaster somms, and it ends up with me at this job and one of my favorite places. And you just keep digging, and whatever excites you, if you do it and you keep doing it, you keep learning. You don't know where it can take you,
Yeah.
but it can take you all the way.
And you're being told
Yeah.
that famous quote, when if you find your passion, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah, exactly. So this next one really speaks to me. I've seen this play out. The belief that high performers or long tenured employees automatically make great leaders is a persistent misconception. While they may excel in their roles, leadership requires a different set of skills: empathy, communication, mentorship, and the ability to inspire others. I've seen that go wrong.
I'm curious to hear, why does it speaks to you?
Well, one thing that I always get, because I've had to make these decisions about who joins, for say, our training team, or the what we call them shift leaders, kind of the in between the server and our management team. And I often pass up tenured employees because a lot of times someone who's made it 5, 10 years, they've sort of figured out their routine. They do things the same way. They're not open to feedback. They're not open to growth. They're not necessarily the people I want saying hi and training my new employees. You know, I'd rather the employee that's been here 6 months, who's extremely excited about the job. This is the first time they've stepped out and tried to do fine dining, and they may have a background in just non-fine dining, and I want that person really inspiring my next generation and saying, like, this is how we do things. This is our, to put it more bluntly, I want someone that's willing to drink the Kool-Aid. And sometimes the tenured employees are not that way. It's hard to teach or an old dog a new
Of
trick,
course. Yeah, no, I
honestly.
agree. I think the to become a leader and you have a team of managers, a team of leaders, I think it is your role and responsibility to kind of build you in a way, not in a disrespectful way, but you have to build your toolbox. You have to be able to bring and build a team that will be able to provide you the result that you're seeking out as the leader of that division. And then sometimes you are looking for someone that might be able to bring you this, but it was an afterthought for most people because of certain reasons. And then you just kind of looking at this person, and just looking and say, okay, I believe there's an opportunity for you to go in that route, because you know that they bring that skill set into the game now, and you utilize it. Now, the quote and what it meant also is, I've seen so many times when I walk into a new place and a new work, and I'm becoming, let's say, the exec chef, or and then I'm seeing some sous chefs or some chef de cuisine, and it's like, why are you chef de cuisine? How long you've been chef de cuisine? And then they just say, I've been chef de cuisine for about a year, but I was sous chef for about 20. And I just said, okay. And then suddenly you realize that all they have is just a new title, but they're doing
Mm.
exactly what they've been doing as a sous chef. They're not necessarily moving the whole workplace forward. They are not trying to change anything. They're just very complacent. And while you do need some complacency for the structure and foundation, there's no aspiration. So everyone comes to work and do exactly what they expected to do. And when you live in the world of luxury and you have to reinvent yourself, and you go after concept, and you go into pushing past the limit of what this work can do. Is okay, we did 80 covers this Saturday, let's go to 100 next Saturday, and let's go to 120. You always seeking out, when is it going to break, and is it going to break? And you kind of living in that place of discomfort, and you realize that those sous chefs who are chef de cuisine, they're the first piece of resistance. They're the first piece that you're going to say, okay, we're going to do 100. Well, I don't know if we can do this because of equipment, or because of the cooks, or because of the this. And you just say, well, let's give it a try. And then they're not necessarily coming along with you into that thing. So it is becoming very complicated, that we are still to this day promoting people because they're the shining star of their, as a server or as a cook, they're the shining star of the restaurant. They know how to grill, or they know how to serve right, and their guests are always happy. Suddenly we're going to give them a promotion. And oftentimes I find that by observation and experience, that we actually promoting them in order to make our life as a leader easier, but you are not necessarily making his life easier, and you're not making the staff morale better. You actually just looking at it and say, yeah, but this guy, sorry, but this guy is not nice to us. He might be the best, but he's
Hmm.
just not nice to us. And now you're putting him in charge of everybody. And then you just already killed the ethic and the morale of your team by just giving a promotion to someone that did not necessarily deserve it from an attitude and a behavior standpoint. So
Hmm.
it's important to look at it as a whole, and to be true and truthful in our yearly performance evaluation. Stop giving a 5 to everyone because you want to be nice.
Yeah, that's a
You
good
know what I
point.
mean? It's
That's a really
because
good
you
point.
want to be able to help someone grow, and giving a 5 to everyone, it is not helping anyone, especially that person that required to grow. But if they're being told year after year that they're the best of the best, and then you're never going to make them grow. They already believe it.
Hmm.
As a leader, you've got to start taking the unpopular choice instead of just looking to be liked.
Yeah. No, and I've heard, compliment is just that, something nice, a pleasantry. Criticism is an investment. It shows that you actually want them to improve. You want them around.
Absolutely.
Because, yeah, we don't criticize people right before we fire them. It's when we want to keep them here.
Absolutely. Yeah, no one should be let go without knowing where they stand. They
Hmm.
should know it's coming, or they should live on their own.
And kind of harkening back to that sous chef comment, one of the things I tell my managers all the time is when there's something new we're doing, or we have a new cover count, yeah, something that's concerning, I always let them know, like, let's not suffer in advance. Let's give it a chance to work before we, burn down everything and start over again.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Turning, to burning everything down and starting over again. Tell me about, and I'm going to butcher the name of this, L'Atelier de
Yeah,
Jean-Luc.
let's read.
So busy night and everything is set and everyone is ready to go. And then everyone plays musical chairs and switches positions in the kitchen. This,
That was at Les Muscardins in Saint Tropez. Yes, that was different company, but
okay.
yes,
I may have written it down wrong.
it's
So
all
yeah,
good. So yes, yeah, that story was crazy. Again, I don't want to tease too much of the book because that's a story in there.
sure, sure.
Yes, it was. The chef came into the restaurant and he was not necessarily in a great mood, pretty sour. Who knows what actually affected him? But we didn't dare ask any question. That was the chef, and then he just come and he just swapped everybody on probably what would become the busiest service of the entire summer season. And we're just like, it was so uncomfortable. I mean, I remember vividly every aspect of this day. It was crazy. We're just, like I said, ready for war, ready for a busy day. There was already a lot at stake because it was meant to be super busy, but switching us on position is just and he was having a pleasure doing it to see us all go down. And I'm just like, my goodness, like what a sadistic person to do that. And then you just kind of you will not give him the pleasure of satisfaction that we're breaking. And he's, at the end of the day, you realize he's getting exactly what he wants. He's getting everyone to show resilience, he's getting everyone to show up, and he's getting everyone to just push through. And he's just kind of almost bending the entire workplace to his liking. And he made us better by just doing something so bold and ballsy. It was just crazy. But yeah, I'll let you all guys discover on the book, because the story is, I try to do my best to really describe this experience that was quite memorable, but at the same time quite terrifying.
Yeah, no, I harken like I think about doing something simple you've done 1,000 times with your right hand, no problem at all. Game day, switch hands. You know, you have a basic familiarity with what you're doing, but it is just a new
Oh
game
yeah,
right off
it
the
is.
bat.
It
Yeah.
is.
And I've done a lot of bartending in my day. I haven't in the last 7 years. I know enough now and have enough comfort. I can jump in and help a drink or two. But if you told me this Friday that it was me in the well and I was making the drinks, I'd start sweating, I think.
We just at the end, it's just a matter of getting rid of the rust, and then you'll find your muscle memory will go back into what you used to do. I had to be jumping in kitchen in a few years, even though I've been out of the kitchen for a minute. And sure, but you go there knowing that you're going to be sweating a little bit. You go there knowing that it's
It's
like,
true.
okay, I've
Yeah.
been out of the kitchen for a minute, and then you realize very quickly that, man, I still got it. Man, that's pretty cool. You almost want to seek out that challenge for yourself to know where you stand at your age, and finding out that you still got it, and you still can run circle around some people.
Before we run out of time, I did want to ask you, tell me a little bit about Incrementum and tell me about Auberge and all the things you're doing these
Yeah,
days.
so Incrementum is the company I've built back in 2020. I went full on with Incrementum in 2023, and it's multifaceted. There's many aspects of it, but if I were to break it down, there is the consulting of Incrementum. So we are, sorry, we are going into properties, resorts, organization that require sometimes a redo, or they're going to extensive renovation, or they're going to a concept change. They want to revamp the entire culinary program or the beverage program, or both of them at the same time. And so we bring on board, have myself and a team of professionals, some of the best in the business with different skill set, able to help. And then we're helping bringing those stories to life. We're helping, assisting and guiding someone going through that change with trainings, with concept development, with all the SOPs, guidance, everything that you need to in order to pull out the best product you can boot. So that's one aspect of what we do. There's also an aspect of Incrementum with our task force management services, which is I have a team of about close to about between 25 and 30 people, from any discipline in hospitality. So it can be a director of housekeeping to a director of front office to an exec chef, pastry chef, director F&B, whatever it is that you're looking for. We are currently now partner with a lot of brands when they need interim support. So let's say that your director of food and beverage is giving his notice, and you're about to tackle the high season. We're receiving the call. Say, Franck, I need a director F&B. I'm sending you a bunch of resumes from the team that works with me, and then you pick one, you get on a phone call, you vouch for them. If you feel good, they're arriving, and they're going to be technically the band-aid that you put between the person leaving and the new person arriving. And we're going to be able to provide continuity. And then when I say it's quality continuity, like the people that I have real life experience in hospitality. They come, they arrive on day one, they can take over an entire outlet with an ease that you've never seen before. They're that good. And so you just throw them on the fire, and then you're just helping them. And as a leader who has to make those decisions, like an executive, you have a peace of mind that you have now a professional, and then you don't have a hole in your entire labor pool to lead an entire department or entire restaurant for the next 60 days. So that's what we're offering
Yeah.
with Incrementum. And then we're doing audits. So we have the Forbes audits, we have a lot of audits out there. But me and my wife partner with me on this, and she's we're going into hotels, and we're staying 1 or 2 nights, and then we're doing incognito audits, and we're doing assessment of the entire operation. And so
That's
we're
awesome.
providing this,
Yeah.
and then the following part of this that we have elaborated Normally you give the audit result, and then you kind of shake hands and your job is finished, it's transactional, it's done. But we're going a step further with my wife, and we are kind of giving them a critical pass. We're giving them an action plan for each discipline, and we can help with the training of each department that require the training in order to get there. So we're very hands-on because we are operative. My wife and I, we both come from hospitality. I was in the food and beverage world, she was in the rooms world. And so she ended up becoming director of room, overseeing housekeeping, rooms, and spa. And I was overseeing the other part of the property. Both of us are able to do very, very good quality assessments in order for us to provide the right tools to get to where you need to be. You want to increase your ranking on TripAdvisor? We have a plan for it. You just want to become
Mm.
better on quality of service? We have a plan for it. You want us to find out if the staff need their tools, if you have the right leader in place? We have a plan for it. So it's really for us to kind of dig into this, and we becoming an extension of you as an executive in order to get to property. And compared to all the other tests out there and assessments, the big name brand like Forbes, for example, we are like a fraction of the cost, even though I like to think that we provide a similar, if not very close, assessment of your operation because of the training we both received. We both worked in Forbes 5 star, so we both equipped in order to provide you that level of assessment. So those are the three main part of what Incrementum does. And then that leads into cheffranc.com, where I provide a lot of hands-on coaching for founders, for GMs, for CEOs, to help becoming a better version of yourself. And that's another aspect that it's somewhat outside of Incrementum, but they're all intertwined.
And I'm sure there are a lot of people that are looking for that too.
Yeah, I think that yeah, there is a lot of people looking for that, and there's a lot of people that have received it, and we have amazing testimonials to vouch for it. So for 3 years doing this, I think we're exactly where we want to be. We are in demand, and then we are also taking one project at a time. We're trying to not be greedy and going into too much growth. We're trying to do a progressive and organic growth, and taking one project at a time.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Actually, when you were talking about your kind of band-aid solution for places that people leave and you don't have someone, like I felt my blood pressure lowering because I've dealt with that situation where something pops up in their life and I find out my executive chef is leaving in a month. And it's like, okay, let's see who's ready. Let's see who I can get in here, you know? And I'm sure in the world of fine luxury hotels, restaurants, you get a lot of that
Yeah,
because
there's a
life
lot more than
happens.
you would think, and now we associated with brands such as Starwood Hotels, with One Hotel, Baccarat Hotel. We associated with Auberge Resort Collection, Montage, Pendry Hotels. We have Fairmont, Raffles. So all those name brand that they're not going to different problems. They're going to the same problem as everybody else. And so we like to position ourselves into becoming a partner with trust, and we're trying to provide the best service we can do. I've been on the other side of that fence when I needed task force, and so I'm trying to make sure that I navigate this road by trying to exceed expectation and meet someone's needs within their property. So I'm usually going to be doing the informative calls in order to trying to do almost playing like a match.com. I'm going to find out what is it that you're actually looking for, what's the scope of work, what's the needs, what's the role and responsibility, because I can send you someone tomorrow, but is it going to be the right fit? Maybe not. And I'm trying to make sure that I provide that level of precision into matching the right person with the right skills in order to get there. And this is why I only have less than 30 consultants working for me. I could have 80 if I wanted to. LinkedIn is full of them. I'm getting reached out weekly with people who wanted to join the team. And I think having a grasp and understanding each of those 25, 30 people to a personal level and professional level, I'm able to playing that match.com role within properties. And so far, organically, it has paid dividends. He has provided us results in a way that now we are established with some of them as preferred partner.
I love it. So we'll see if that's the tagline for the episode. Franck, it's the Match.com of
There you
hospitality.
go.
Hey, Franck, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Same here,
I'm
Andrew.
so excited. I love the book. For those of you that are listening, any of the links that he mentioned, a link to the book, All that's going to be in the show notes. Just so I know, I'm scrolling through my notes here. I didn't want to balloon this episode to 2 to 3 hours. I didn't get through, I've got 40 different notes. So we only really talked about the beginning of the book. So go and pick up this book, Relentless Growth. If you are a leader in hospitality, go and contact Franck. He can help you. And
Yeah, you can find
this
me
is
at cheffranck.com. That's the easier way to find me. And social media, I would say the most exposure would be Instagram and LinkedIn when you can find about me. And the book is available for pre-order. It will be officially launched on October 14th, so a little bit shy of 2 weeks from now. And you can pre-order your book, and I'll make sure that I'll send you a signed copy.
awesome. Awesome. Well, Franck, thank you again. And I hope you have a great day. You're in Kentucky, right?
I am in Kentucky right now, yes.
Have fun.
Thank you, Andrew. Take care.
Thank you again for listening. If you have not, please like, subscribe, and also leave a comment on this show. Every interaction is really, really appreciated. I respond personally to every message, comment I get. Episodes of this show come out every Tuesday, every week. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again soon. Thank you.